I would quickly jump into this because we have lots to unpack here with this panel. And knowing that work and save and invest is something that is would generate a lot of question. We will go right straight into it. I'll quote some statistics. 80% of wealth building comes from habits, not income level, right? So some of the first thing you will see we will talk about is work, working, earning. And the next statistics I will quote for you is that 1 in 3 black households have zero or negative net worth. 1 in 3 black households have zero or negative net worth. And the third one, very important, is our immigrant household are 30% more likely to engage in entrepreneurship, which means that this audience is the right one. Okay, let's get right into it. And I will start with Dr. Femi. People would usually ask, the biggest thing to do is working and investing. But it's also important for us to know how and what people should invest in the order of priority. People would say, oh, maybe it should be real estate, or maybe it should be assets in the stock market, or maybe it should be tangible assets. My question to you will be, how do someone invest and grow first in their self? Because people are the most valuable assets. And how do you see this when it comes to investment in our mental and physical health?
For having me on this panel. So first and foremost, I feel mental health is very important for us to be successful in whatever we do. So mental health is basically the absence of mental illness. For you to be successful in anything you do, be it business, any kind of thing you do in life, your mental health has to be, strong. You have to have a solid, mental health, because without this, it's going to impact your productivity. You will not be able to basically, make meaningful impact in the community. So with that being said, also, it also has an impact on your physical health. Is mental health is well taken care of, it has a positive impact on your physical health. So with that being said, the synergy of both makes you well grounded to be able to take up any kind of challenge, whatever business you want to basically engage or you want to be involved in. Because if you have any kind of mental issues, it can also derail you. If you have any kind of physical issues, it could also derail you or hold you back to be productive. With that being said, I'm basically going to talk about something we all can actually, identify with. There's an athlete that spends over $1 million on his health. And that is why he has longevity. He's into basketball. He's still playing at the age of 41, 42. So it tells us the importance for your longevity, even in your business. Your mental health, your physical health is very, very imperative. And I feel the other question you asked was in regards to business, right? So I think one, the foundation has to be very right. You've already taken care of yourself. You don't just want to venture into something you don't know. And I think that is the mistake a lot of people make. We want to have business. We want to have all those accolades, the titles, CEOs, brand. But the thing is, you don't have a knowledge in that thing. Guess what? That is why a lot of business actually doesn't. They are not successful. That is why they don't have longevity, because they basically went into it for the wrong purpose. And also, we are based on the population I'm speaking with, the problem we have is when people tell you there's money into something, everybody rush into it. You have to be passionate about what you're doing, about what you're about to embark on. If you have the solid foundation, you have the knowledge, it helps you, it empowers you to make meaningful decisions that would help your business, that will help people under you, because there are people that basically relying on you. I'm talking about employees. If the CEO is not well grounded, doesn't have a good mission, doesn't have a good mission statement, it has a negative impact on that business. With that being said, I feel one, I've already kind of alluded into some of the things we need to know. One, you have to know the business you're getting into. You have to know the knowledge. So that way, whenever you run into stumbling blocks, you know how to navigate around it, because every business comes with its own potential problems. Having that knowledge helps you. So I don't know if there's any other person on this panel that could basically add to the body of knowledge I've already shared.
No, that is, I think foundational. Knowledge becomes one of the biggest things to invest in. And investing in ourselves with that knowledge seems to be something to prioritize. And again, health is wealth. So if we talk about, all of the strategies, and we don't talk about being physically and mentally healthy, I think we skip the foundation. I'll move on some of the statistics. You will hear a lot of that from me. 70% of job growth comes from our continuous self-education and upskilling. I think Dr. Femi talked about making sure you understand the space you want to go in. Whether wherever you're working or wherever you are earning currently, which is like the basis of most of the things we're doing, 70% of our job growth comes from continuous self-education and upskilling. 40% of immigrants work more than one job to get ahead. I'll give you that statistics again. 40% of immigrants work more than one job to get ahead. Now, Deacon Noble, what practical steps can someone take to excel in their workplace? And more of just what helps one to stand out. I've already laid out the statistics. 40% of immigrants are doing multiple jobs to get ahead. They are picking more shifts. But the most important question to get there is how can we get to the point where they are investing in themselves continuously, and that would spur increasing their earnings and personal growth.
Thank you very much. Practical steps that anyone can take to excel in their place of work. The first thing is commitment. If you are committed to a job, you'll go a long way. But if you have a lackadaisical attitude to work, it will tell. People get fired not because it's part of what the company loves to do. It's just because we need someone that is committed and you are not committed. It could be a case of conflict of interest. But commitment, dedication, availability at work, even sometimes if your skills are not at top notch, if you show that level of interest in the job, it helps. And then like Dr. Olarabofu mentioned, you need the right set of skills to get ahead. And statistics shows that the more skillful you are, the better you are at a job. There are people that, there was this, was it like an advert I saw? Someone walked up to the boss and said, "I'm quitting." And the boss said, "No, you can't quit. We'll increase your salary. We'll make things better for you. We'll get you this bonus. We'll do this and that." And I said, "Okay, I'll stay." A colleague heard that and said, "Wow, so that's how to move ahead." The same colleague, another colleague, the colleague went to the boss and said, "I'm quitting, boss." And the guy said, "Drop your resignation letter and have a good one." So if you're not valuable, it's not going to help with your prospect of staying ahead or getting a good job. So empowering yourself, being committed to the job. You don't see work as punishment. You see work as something you're a part of. And should I even throw in a bit of a spiritual perspective to it? Working in your secular job is God's ordinance for you. It's a commitment that God wants you to take seriously and spiritually. So it's not out of place. It is your field. When the Bible says you are the salt of the earth, you are not the salt of the church. You are made a salt in the church. Then when you go out there during the week, where you spend more time, you now become a salt, where you work. The diligence you put into the job, the commitment, the dedication. So that's what I have to say about it.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. I'll give another statistics just to buttress what he said. Black professionals are 30% less likely to have mentors at work. Black professionals are 30% less likely to have mentors at work. It's talked about commitment. It's talked about, the sure dedication needed. I'll give you three things: coaching, mentorship, and sponsorship. CMS. Take that away if you don't take anything away. Coaching, mentorship, and sponsorship. Always check in your circle. Who is my coach? They would help you with tactical things. Who is my mentor? And who is my sponsors? Your sponsors will speak for you in rooms where you are not. Your sponsors will advocate for you. 30% of black professionals are less likely to have a mentor at work. So, tips there. Anyway, we've covered some things when it comes to working, earning, how to, make sure that we continue to invest in ourselves in the workplace. Let's switch it up a bit, because I know when it comes to saving and investing, it then means there is something to save and there's something to invest. I would go to Brother Henry. Why is it important to have multiple streams of income? I know you will see that a lot on social media, and people make it seem like it's a tap somewhere that it's easy, you just go tap it on, right? And how can someone start small? Because we know the statistics already. This is something we are not doing as a community. And when you elaborate that, I think some education you can do to us is, what are the different type of investments to look into?
All right. Thank you very much. So as we all know, we all have bills to pay, right? And we all have families, friends, and what you call the last time black tax to meet up with. So there's always need to have multiple sources of income, because even if you have a high-paying job, as long as it's not your job, anything could happen. Okay? Even if you have your own business that is just one, anything could also happen. So you need multiple sources of income. So when something happens to one of your flow, the other one is going to sustain you until you bounce back. And one of the easiest ways to start small is, first of all, get a job. No matter how much your job is paying you, you have to cultivate the habit of saving. It is critical that you have savings that you set aside towards investment. And now, I'm not talking about saving towards buying Gucci or saving towards buying bag, Louis Vuitton. Those things are good, but those things should be bought from your assets that is producing revenue, and not from your earnings that you make from your time. Because when you work, you are trading your time for money. So when you trade time for money, you don't use that to buy luxury. You should use that to buy assets, and those assets should produce more money for you that you can use to buy luxury. So if you can save, no matter how much you're making, you save. And you get to a point where you want to invest. There are basically two types of investment you can do. It could be passive, it could be active. So passive investment is when you want to go into the S&P. If you're in the US, you want to buy stock. You can also invest back in Nigeria. You can go to the Nigeria stock market, you can buy stock, that's an investment. You can do commercial papers in the bank where you can get interest on your savings. But the goal here should be, what do you want, okay? If you have a goal to make $1 million in 3, 4, 5 years, you need a vehicle to achieve to where you are going to. Just like someone going to New York, right? You can go through Greyhound, you can go through the flights, you can go through your personal ride. So the route you choose will take you decide how quickly you're going to get to your destination. So if you have a goal, that will also determine what route of investment you want to choose. Someone that wants to make $1 million in 2, 3 years would rather go for a business than invest in stock, because stock is a long-term gain, and it will take you much longer time to achieve that goal. So if you decide that you want to go for investment, then you can buy stock, you can do CP and other investments. But if you decide that you want to get there quicker, then you can get a business. And getting a business now takes two ways also. You can start a business, which is like going through a smaller jet, or you can buy a business which takes you there faster, like going through a jumbo jet. So you have to decide again what route you're going to take. So for me, I would suggest buy a business. It's better than starting a business, because when you buy a business, most likely you are inheriting a system that's already working. You must have done your due diligence. You must have seen the returns. You must have seen the SDE, the seller discretionary earnings, the cash flow, and everything that you need to decide that, okay, this business is viable, and I want to go into it. But that would take me back to what Brother Femi said. You also need to buy a business that you have an idea about, an industry, a line of business that you think you can be passionate about, because business have challenges, right? And even when you're buying a business, it doesn't mean you walk through the door and you start making money the next day. If you do, you're still going to make expenses the next day. So you have to balance it out. So we need to understand the ins and outs of everything we're talking about. And the risk also is there. You have to look at yourself and determine what is your risk level. Are you someone that can tolerate losing money? Or are you someone that if you lose $100 and your world is crumbling down? So you have to decide that. So if you are very open to risk, then you can go for a business. The more riskier the business is, the more profitable it's going to be. But if you know that if you lose money, it hurts you so bad, then you can be more conservative, okay? Another advice I want to give, if you have saved, let's say you save about $100,000, right? And that is all the money you have. I will not advise you to put all those money in the business because anything could happen. Put something, part of it, and start it out for the first time and see how it's going to progress. Then you can determine if you want to keep going, if you want to pull out. That way you don't lose everything that you have. You understand? So that is one way to go with getting your business done. Again, you don't need your money all the time to acquire a business. You need part of it. There is what is called SBA loans that you can approach the bank and get money from them. That may not be applicable to everybody because of the requirements, right? But there's also what is called seller financing. Many people, they call the boomers, they have businesses and they're about to retire. Some people don't want to retire, but they just want to change industry. Some want to travel, so they want to set their business. So they believe that it will be more attractive if a business is worth $1 million and you are coming with $500,000. The seller is going to finance the other $500,000, gives you what is called a promising note, where you have to be paying based on the terms and agreements you people arrive at. So that is also a good way to come into a business. And why I like that option, only a seller that truly knows that their business is viable will agree to such terms and conditions. So if a business is struggling and the owner is trying to sugarcoat it, they will want to sell and run away. So when you see a seller that is committed and willing to do seller's financing, that means they know that their business is viable and it's a good deal for you to come in if other conditions have been checked and met. So I think
Awesome.
I want to pause here for a while.
I think that's a master class in business acquisition right there for everyone. Seller financing is a powerful tool. And you said something about risk and reward. Everybody focuses on the reward when we talk about business and investments. People talk less about the risk. And I think this takes me to Dr. Femi. Dr. Femi and I have some risk and reward stories when it comes to investing. We've invested in businesses together that has some risk. So let me hit it there. You started with business acquisition. Dr. Femi, what are the asset class one should start with in investing? And specifically, I want you to touch things on like real estate, to be specific.
Okay, thank you. Well, real estate is something that I breed outside of mental health. And I'm just throwing this out there for credibility. He, as already know, he threw me under the bus. So I'm into real estate, but people know me as a psych NP. Real estate is something that would never depreciate. So the reason why I'm actually kind of very thoughtful in my thought processes, a lot of us we don't know the lot of money in real estate. You don't have to start big. You have your property, you're living in a single home. You can actually start with a single home. And from there, you can move on. So single home, let me basically touch on single home. It might be like a town home. Somebody is there, you're renting it out, somebody's paying your mortgage. You're not taking any risk. So somebody's basically paying your mortgage for you. You might just be, at the end of the day, you're making $150. It's something. And as time goes on, you can decide you want to expand. There's always room for expansion if it's done well, if the foundation is right. Then you expand into what we call multi-family home. Multi-family home, I did not start with single family. I basically went all out for 4 units. And it's always good to know when to basically leave the market. And I'm saying this because people are sometimes greedy, and also because we want the name, I'm a landlord. And I'm going to share a personal experience just to help someone. The first real estate I was involved in was in Clarksville. 4-unit property, I bought it for $800,000. The property wasn't basically making money for itself, but all I just have on the paper, on the book, was I have multifamily property. So thank God for having a good partner, my wife, because she's more grounded into finance. She's like, Femi, we need to sell this. It was very painful. It was hurtful. We sold it for close to $1 million. I made some money from it, but it was still kind of like a failure. I took a break of 2 years to now study real estate. I reached out to people like Brooke, okay? I reached out to realtor like, talk with Falano. And that 2 years was a learning process. That is why I said it's not just about passion, understanding the business you're going into. I had the money to go into it, I went into it, but I didn't have the knowledge. But guess what? I failed. But the failure did not basically dampen me, because that is something I have passion for. Now, I can tell you with all humility, I'm not into I'm into commercial real estate. So now, I don't even manage my properties. I have property managers because I have other things I'm doing. Just like you said, I just started my own private practice. I have 2 locations, one in Franklin, and this is not marketing, one in Franklin, one in Lawrenceburg. I've had bigger organizations come to me, how do you do this? But we can talk about that later. But in terms of commercial is going to give you more money. In terms of, you're basically having you have more than 4 units. That is why we call it commercial. And now the question is, how do I go into it? How do I get the money? A lot of people don't understand that they can borrow money from themselves. You don't have to go to the bank. If you have a property, there's what we call line of credit. You can actually use your own property to finance and be a real estate investor. The other thing you can do as well is you can do what we call partner with other people. So like there might be like a $5 million property. You might not have the 20% because oftentimes banks require for like 25, 30%. You might not have that amount of money. So now you're going to have to probably partner with other people. You basically pay like a fraction. So now you have a stake in that business. But you're not going to be the active decision maker. But you're still making money, passive income. And what I tell people is, we spend every day, you should be making money every day. Even when you're sleeping, you should be making money every day. Those that are sleeping, that are making $1,000 every minute, they don't have 2 heads. And that is the problem. And now I'm going to be very passionate. I don't know where the camera is. The folks who have business, who are millionaires, who are billionaires, they don't have 2 heads. And that is the mindset. And I think it has to start with mindset. Until we restructure our mindset, it's going to be very difficult for us to move. It's going to be very difficult for us to shift. Because we're in a mindset, we come to a country whereby we're just like, I just want things, I just want to have a house. I just want to have to be able to care for my family. You have to think beyond that. You have to create generational wealth. Because those people, they don't have 2 heads. And sometimes you don't even have to have the money. It's something about networking. I have an office in Franklin. I don't pay a dime. I'm not going to tell you how I was able to do that. I don't pay a dime. Franklin, I have an office that I don't pay. It's all about networking. Real estate, there's a lot of money in it. And I've basically told you, I've shared with you ways you can actually get capitals. You can go to the bank like he has already talked about. You can also borrow money from yourself, putting a lien on your property, but you have to be very, very careful. You have to take a lot of caution, because I don't want you to come and sue me. Take a lot of caution. Reach out to experts, so that way they can lead you to the right way.
I think I should have started with this. We should put a caveat emptor out and say, what we're saying here is based on our experiences. It should not constitute a financial advice. It should not constitute, if you should seek advice from your advisors and make sure that you are getting the right help. But we're sharing things from our experience and all of that. Okay, we'll take one more question and then we'll go and get everybody to also start asking questions, because we want this to be as interactive as possible. I think we let the bag out on many things already. But that was a lot of passion there. Seller financing is a thing. line of credit is a thing, and getting the right help is a thing, and your community is powerful. Okay, I'll share one more statistic. Only 28% of African American families are considered financially healthy. Black household earn 60% of the median income of white household. Immigrants send, are you ready for this? $68 billion home in remittance annually. Immigrants send $68 billion in remittance home annually. We'll take the question on black tax, and then we would, see if anybody has questions so that we're able to cover some of that. So we're saying invest, do all of this. But black tax is real. By the way, black tax is everybody home that we are sending that $68 billion to, which is good. But how do you balance this? These are, in some cases, the people home send some people here, right? And in some cases, so they are real obligation. They are family obligation. But now we're talking about go save, go invest, all this big stuff. How do somebody balance this in practical terms?
Okay. It varies for everyone. Everybody has a different story.
And sorry, when you're taking that, also take it with, should I invest at home or should I invest here?
Okay. So someone told me when I was coming to the US, give your mom 100,000 naira. Let her survive with that, whatever business she wants to do. And technically, from the African setting, I am her retirement benefits, if you know what I mean. And I'll come to America, eat burger, work, stay in a cozy environment, drive a nice car, do everything I want to do. And I'll have my mom trading petty stuff just to survive because I want to get on my feet. So for some people, they have generational wealth. That's not their story. I know people that, I know, trying to be as discreet as possible, 2 core professionals that studied abroad, relocated to America. They are not on their feet yet. Their parents from Nigeria still sponsoring them, if you know what I mean. So everybody's story is different. Black tax is something we may not be able to rule out, but you must find what works for you. You must take care of yourself here, maintain a healthy financial balance that works for you while you still do your little. And by that, you focus on what is necessary, not servicing their wants, ashwebis, parties. You're putting people in private schools that you know on a good day they can't maintain. You're paying bills that just because you want to give yourself a good life, it may stress you out. So about minimum basics, minimum needs, rent, school fees that is reasonable. Those are things that we can take care of. And then our people need to just feel our impact somehow. If they paid our school fees or they sponsored us here, whatever. And besides, they are our blood. God, there is a scripture in the Bible that says, you were raised for such a time as this. You are that, quote and unquote, the Messiah in your family or in your village. If you are sponsoring someone in school and seeing to their future, that may be a good way to handle back that. But with wisdom, and it depends on your status and what you're doing. And considering with respect to should I invest here or back home?
30 seconds.
Yeah, it depends on it depends on your life goals. Do I want to stay in America, live and die here at old age when God wills it? Or at a certain age, I want to go back home? You need to answer those kind of questions. Do I want my kids to relocate back? Do I want to stay here? So if you have a mindset of relocating back home, then you should increase your investments in that direction. An investment that, one, you are very comfortable with. If you give your brother a factory to run, they'll run it down. Not because they want to, but because there is no consequence. I once gave somebody money to start a business, they ran it down, and I said to them, if you had gotten that money from the bank, would you wouldn't even qualify because you were starting from zero, you don't have any collateral. but they won't say that.
Okay.
So those are some of the things you need to consider. If you're going to remain here, invest here.
All right, okay. Let's turn to the audience. Question.
I have a question concerning saving. How can one save money from paycheck just to pay one's bill?
What is it? I didn't
How
hear
can
you.
someone save from paycheck? You want to do it monthly without having to like maybe manually manage it every week, every month.
So are you saying you receive your paycheck to your bank account? How can you save? Are you looking for the technology to make it easier for you, or the commitment to make it?
No, I'm
saving?
just saying, just the little one you're making from your paycheck, just for
So that little one you are making, someone is making less than that little one, and I believe they are saving. So I listened to someone, the owner of Rain Oil in Nigeria, Gabriel Beche, and he said, if you have 10,000, and if you have 10,000, you'll be broke. If you have 40,000, you'll be broke. Once you still believe that you cannot save from it, because someone that receives, let's come to the U.S. now. Someone that makes $300 a week can decide to save $50 out of it a week, because someone is surviving with $250 a week. Do you understand? So whatever you're making is not the bare minimum. Even if it's the barest minimum, you can still save or get a second job, which is pretty easy here, that can supplement what you have. If, for instance, what you are making is the barest minimum that is not up to your bills, then get a second job. That will help you so you can save. Because if you don't save, the rat race will keep going on. The cycle will continue, except a miracle happen where someone coming to just bail you out, which is difficult.
All right.
But saving is something that is a mindset. Determine it and you get it done.
Thank you. I want to take one more question. Anyway, to help you, some technology to look at. Acorn is an app. You can set up automation there. Robinwood is an app. You can set up automation there. They did not pay us marketing fee, but we do that.
This guy raised his hands first. I think.
Okay, I think I
Yeah,
saw
that
her
one
first.
was-
Someone is raising a hand there.
Can I go?
Oh, okay, go. You can go.
Thank you. This question is directed to Brother Femi for as a new investor who's looking to go into real estate. I have 3 questions. I don't know if you have the time for those. I wanted to find out what markets or property types you see offering the best long-term potential, right? And then you tie it to what risk a new investor, often overlook, and how can one mitigate that? And the last one that's tied to this question is, what are the realistic cash-on-cash return or cap rates? What does it look like right now in the market? And how do you advise to go about that?
Okay, that's a very deep question.
Take the one on property class.
Okay.
So that we can handle.
So I think any property you're investing in, any kind of real estate you're investing in, you want to see the profit and loss. So if the property is not making enough money, I don't think it's something you want to venture in. So when you buying, you have the duty to request for the profit and loss. What's the profit? The property making. What is the expenses? If it's not enough, because even bank would not basically give you loan if they feel that property is not making enough money. So because of the conference of time, I will not be able to go into details because I could see I'm getting signs from the back. So it's something we could talk probably after service.
All right. Thanks, everyone. This is the series. We wrap it up here. Walk, earn, save, and invest wisely. Thank you.
Thank you.